Maybe we can start first while waiting for Hamse. Okay, I will share my screen now. Can you hear my voice?
Yeah.
Yes, doctor.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So please mute your microphone. Okay. Okay. Can you see my slide?
Yes, doctor.
Okay. Okay. Hmm. Okay. I have to screen now. Which one the active one? I first. Okay, sorry, something wrong. Okay, can you hear my voice?
Yes, doctor.
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay. Okay. Okay, so now can you see my screen?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So now we continue with the analysis of the shear wall. So last week I already explained to you what is the definition of the shear wall, and then type of the shear wall, and then how to analyze the shear wall. And then so for today I will show you one example. So how to determine the bending moment diagram, and also the bending moment value and shear value inside the shear wall. Okay. So for this example, is is it clear?
Yes, really clear.
Yes,
Okay.
doctor.
Okay, good. Okay, so this analysis of shear wall. So for the example, we have two-story building. Okay, two-story building, and then okay, so consists of two-story office building, and then consists of three type of wall 1, 2, and 3. As you can see in this slide, they have the wall 1, number 1, number 2, and number 3. Okay, so inside the wall number 3, they have the they have the lift and also the staircase inside the wall number 3. And then so in this example, we need to analyze the shear wall to resist the wind load with value of 1.5 kilonewton per square meter. And then and then this one applied uniformly to the building height, and then its floor is 3.5 meter high. Okay, so that the total height of the building is 70 meter. Okay, and then you can see in this slide, for the shear wall number 1, okay, so the length is 8 meter, and then all the way up and with the following width. So for height of 0 to 21 meter, the wall has thickness of 450 mm, and then for height of 21 to 45 to 5, the thickness of wall is 300, and then from level 45.5 to 70 meter, the wall thickness is 200 mm. Okay, so in detail you can see in this this slide. So this one for the wall number 1. For the wall number 1, for the first 6-story, they have width of 450. So you can see with this color, red color, the thickness of the wall is 450. Okay, so it's the pen. Okay, so pen. Okay. Okay, so you can see this the thickness of the wall. So the thickness of this wall is 450 mm. And then for this level, from this level to this level, the thickness of the wall is 300 mm. And then from the story 14 to 20 or to rooftop, the wall thickness is 200 mm. So you can see here the wall has the different thickness. Because why? Because as I mentioned to you last week, when we design for tall building, means we talk about the design of the building subjected to the bending. So for and then because for the tall building, the building will behave like cantilever column. So at the rooftop, the moment equal to 0, and then the maximum moment is at the support, means this one at the first floor. Okay, so that in order to cater for this moment, that's why the thickness of the wall at the ground floor is thicker as compared to the rooftop. So you can see the sequence. Any question until this slide? Any question?
No, no, Doctor.
Clear. So this for the wall number 1, and then you can see here we have wall number 1. This wall 1. Okay, wall number 1. Okay, this number 1. This wall number 2. This wall number 3. Okay, so later in the analysis we need to divide this building become 2 sections. So I mean in symmetry. So when we do analysis for this building, we assume that because this symmetry, so the center of gravity is at the middle of the building. So at the middle of this wall number 3. Okay, and then so in order to know the moment inside the wall, first we need to know the total bending moment for the whole of the building. Okay, so after that we need to distribute the moment for the wall based on the flexural rigidity. As I mentioned to you last week, the flexural rigidity depend on the E and I value. Okay, so the flexural rigidity is okay. So depend on the E and I value. Because the E constant, E is elastic modulus of the reinforced concrete, so this value is constant. So means the difference between wall 1, wall 2, wall 3 is the I. So for the I value, we need to use the equation. Okay, oops. Okay, so for the I value, we need to use this equation. So I is the second moment of inertia of wall equal to B multiplied by H power 3. So you can see here for the wall number 1, the length of the wall is 8 meter. So in this case, the H equal to 8 meter and the B equal to 0.45. Okay, the inertia. Because why? Because due to the transverse load in this direction from the wind load, so the column will tend to move to the right side. Okay, so when we calculate for the second moment inertia, the direction of the h is equal to direction of the force. Okay, so this become h and then this become b to get the second moment of inertia. So because you can see here for the wall one, they have 3 different thickness. From first floor to sixth floor have 450, 7 to 13 has 300 mm, and then 14 to 20 have 200 mm thickness. So that the I for these three different thickness will have the different I. So you can see here. So this is the I. So for wall number 1, they have the B 0.45, H is 8 meter, so that they have 19.2 meter per 4. So this at the bottom part, the middle 7th floor. So means bottom 6th floor actually from level 1. So this one is the okay. Okay, so the for wall 1 bottom 6th floor. So for this floor 1 2 3 4 5 6, so this the I for this first 6 floor, and then the 7th floor for the middle one is this one 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Okay, and then the 7th floor at the upper is this level 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Okay, so from this we have different I for these 6th floor at the bottom of the building, at the middle is 7th floor, and then the upper is 7th floor. So the total floor is 20. So you can see here we have the different I value. And then this one is for the wall number 1. Okay, so how about the wall number 2? So for wall number 2 you can see in this explanation. So for wall number 2, they have the from 0 to 21 meter level, they have 7 meter length. So this is 7 meter. So you can see here. So this one for 0 to 21 meter, they have a 7 meter length here. And then from 21 to 70, they have 5 meter length. So the length of the wall will be reduced. Let's say this the length of the wall for next level. And then also they have different thickness. So from 0 to 21, the thickness of this wall is 500. So this one is 500. Okay, and then after that from 21 to 45, they have 300 mm. Okay, and then from 45 to 70, they have 200 mm. So this for the wall number 2. And then for wall number 3, so this dimension 6 by 6, 6 meter by 6 meter, 6 meter length, and then the 6 meter width, 6 meter. So they have 6 meter here. And then the thickness is 400 mm for the level 0 to 21, and reduce become 200 mm from height of 21 to 70 meter. So from here you can see this the description of the wall, the length of wall, and also the thickness of the wall. So based on these 3 wall properties, I mean the physical properties, the dimension, we can get the I value. So this all the I value. So for the 6th floor level, they have the B, the length 7 meter, and then width is 0.5. is the I, and then at the middle 7th floor, the length become 5 meter, and then the thickness also reduced become 0.3. So this is the new I for the middle 7th floor. For the upper 7th floor, for the wall 2, thickness also reduced from 0.2, but the length still the same 5 meter. So they have the I 2.1 meter per 4. Okay, and then for the wall number 3, you can use this equation to get the second moment error or of inertia, or you also can use the in order to get the second moment of inertia for this hollow section. So you also can use this equation. So let's say this the length, this one is h, okay, and then this one is b, and then the dimension inside the hollow is h prime, and then the dimension inside the hollow for this length is b prime. Okay, so for this type of the hollow section also we can get the I equal to 1/12. Okay, b has power 3 minus 1/12, b prime has prime power 3. Okay, so this is how to get the second moment inertia for this hollow section. Any question until this slide?
No, doctor.
Is it clear?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can use these two equations, whether this one or equation. Okay, and then okay, so for the next slide, this one I explained to you previously. So actually in this slide we need to know the moment and also shear force at the certain level for the certain wall. So in order to get the QI/MNI, this one QI/MI, so we need to know the total what do you call, sorry, the QI and MI is the total external shear and total external moment. Okay, so in order to know the shear and moment for each of level of the building, we need to know the flexural rigidity of each of the level. So for example, this one QJI is the shear at the wall J at the level I divided by the total Q at level I. Okay, and then equal to EI for level J, wall J at level I divided by the flexural rigidity for the level I. Okay, so I is level, J is wall. So you can see here. So this one actually how to proportion, how to distribute the moment based on the flexural rigidity of the wall itself. Okay, and then okay, yeah. The first step in order to know the distribution of moment and shear, first we need to determine the ratio of K and rho of the inertia IJI of each wall. Okay, and then how to calculate the K. K is the ratio of particular wall stiffness on the specific floor, okay, to the value of the stiffness of the entire floor. Okay, so that's why here the function of K actually to know the specific moment at the specific wall at the certain floor level. Okay, so you can see here the equation, we can use the KXJ. So this actually for the wall J at the floor X, okay, equal to IXJ above divided by total, okay, the total second moment inertia of XJ above. Okay, so means the total second moment of inertia for the same level. Okay, and then above also we have the term here above and below. So in our case, in this example, we need to determine the moment and shear at level 14. So above mean above the 14 is 15, and then below the 14 is the floor 13. Okay, so this is the term here. Okay, and then first, because our focus to determine the moment and shear force at the wall 1, okay, at the for the wall 1 at the 14th floor. Okay, so means the J equal to 1 means the wall 1, and then X equal to 14. So this is the level 14. So by using this equation, okay, you can see here the KXJ above equal to IXJ above divided by the total IXJ above. Okay, so previously, okay, I put here in the small one. For example, for the level 14. So for the level 14, you can see here. Okay, so the above for level 14 is start from level. For the above for the level 14 start from 14 to 20. So we take this value 8.5. So here, this is the circumference for the above level, and then divided by the total second moment inertia at the above level. So now we have 8.5, okay, here, and then the total is 8.5 plus all the upper 7th floor, and then 2.1 here, okay, and then plus for the 2.6 multiplied by 0.5. Okay, so do you have any question why this need to be multiplied by 0.5? Do you know why we need to multiply this second moment inertia for the wall number 3 with the value of 0.5?
No.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So
No, no.
I think the thickness of the wall, Doctor, right? 500.
no, actually because of why? Because we analyze for the symmetry. So means we divide the wall number 3 with half, right? Okay, you can see here. So half. So means the contribution of the second moment inertia from the wall 3 is half to the on this. For example, we analyze for the left side. So the contribution is half. So that's why 0.5 multiplied by the total second moment inertia of this wall 3. Okay, so this is the reason. So you can see here. Okay, 0.5 here. Okay, so from here we get the KXJ above 0.36. Okay, how about the K below? So below the 14 is 13. Okay, so you can see here the level 13. Okay, I show you this one. Okay, so the level 13 is inside this middle 7th floor. So when we talk about this one for the below level means we need to refer for this to this level 7 to 13. So means we refer to the middle 7th floor. So you can take this all the value from the middle 7th floor, from wall 1, from wall 2, and then from wall 3 here. Okay, so that's why I put here and yeah. So for the below one we have the 12.8 divided by the total. So the total is 12.8 plus 3.1 plus 0.5 multiplied by 26. So this value. And then from this, we have the K for above for floor 14 is 0.36. And then at the K below is 0.44. So you can see here, I sketch here the upper and middle. So the location that we will focus now at the level 14. So the contribution from the level after 14 consider the above, and then below 14 consider the below. Okay, K below. So the K below we take from the middle, and then K above we take from the upper. Okay, because why? Because the location of the 14th floor is between the middle and upper. Is it clear?
Yes, doctor.
Okay. So okay, so this if we talk about the level 14, but if I ask you to design, for example, you need to design for level 7, okay, to know the bending moment and the shear force at level 7. So if we talk about level 7 here, so means the below K is referred to the bottom 6th floor. Is it clear? And then the above is refer to the this level for the middle floor. Egg floor is inside this level, 7 to 13. Okay, is it clear? Okay, so then if you want to know the bending moment and shear force at level 5, for example, level 5. So if for level 5, because level 5 is inside the bottom 6th floor here, okay, so means you need to refer all the value to the bottom 6th floor. So from 19.2 divided by 19.2 plus 14.3 plus 0.5 multiplied by 47.1. So this how to get the K below and K above. Because this bit inside between the 6 and 1 and 6 is floor apa? The level 5, the floor level number 5. So means the above and below K will be the same value. Is it clear? Is it clear?
Yes, doctor. Yes, doctor.
Okay.
Can you
So
repeat,
normally
doctor?
sorry,
Can you repeat it again?
which one?
This one, the last we talk about, from 1 to 6, in between.
Okay, good. Okay, so this one, for example, in this analysis, we need to know the bending moment diagram, the bending moment value and shear force at the level 14. The level 14, you can see here, level 14, 7 and 14 is the what we call the transition level. So they will have the different stiffness. Can you see this? Different stiffness. So means for this different stiffness, for the certain level, for example, the level 7, they will have the K below will be the K below and the K above will be different. And then for level 14, also K below and K above will be also different. Okay. So how about if you want to know the moment and shear value at the level 5? So you can see here at the level 5, at the above they have the same thickness wall, and also at the below. So the K above and K below at this level will be the same. So the same goes to level 2, 3, 4, 5. Is it clear? And 6 also. Okay. So normally the different K not normally, the K above and below will different at the transition level only. For example, for this level 14 and 7, that's all. For the other level, they will have the K above and K below will be the same. Okay, please take down that. Okay.
Okay, Dr. Clear.
Okay. So from here we have the K above and K below for level 14, 0.36, 0.44. And then this one you can see here we have already have in this table this K above 0.36, 0.44. But this one for the wall 1. For the wall 2 and wall 3 you can calculate by yourself. But the result already here in the table. Okay. The next step, because this for the flow transition, so we need to get the change in parameter. So delta K. So delta K for the level 14 for wall 1, so means this one 14 dash 1 means for the level 14 for wall number 1. Okay. So K xj below minus K above. So we have 0.08. So you can see here 0.08. Okay. And then okay, so all the other K parameter can be found in for the wall 1, 2, and 3 in this table. Okay. And then finally, the summation of the K above equal to K below equal to 1. Okay, so this one actually the percentage of distribution. So the total K for the same level equal to 1. So you can see here we have the 0 for the level 14 for the K for the wall 1 0.36. Okay, and then K above and the K above for the K below, something wrong here. K Okay, this one correct. This one 0.44 plus 0.11, 0.55 is 1. I think this one must be 1. I think for wall 1 and 2 and 3 need to be checked. Okay. But the total, in order to check the total distribution for the same level equal to 1. Is it clear? As you can see here, the total K below is for the same level is 1. 0.44 plus 0.11 plus 0.45. So means 100% equal to 1. Yeah? And then this the delta K that we get 0.08. Okay. And then the next step, you need to calculate the rho. Okay. So the rho actually to which expand the value of K to the two flow at the transition of the stiffness. Okay. So in our case, like the slab between level 13 to 14. Okay. So how to calculate the rho? We're using this equation. Rho above equal to minus I above divided by I above plus I below. Okay, so this actually distribution with the two flow level 13 to 14. So above and below. Okay, and then after that, so for example for wall number 1, okay, so in the example we focus on the wall number 1 and floor number 14. So we have the row above negative 8.5. So this from the the upper level, because this the level 14, 8.5 negative 8.5 divided by the total 8.5 plus 12.8. So this for the above and this for below. Okay, so this at the 14 above and then this 14 below. So means from 13 to 7 floor. This 12.8. So from this we have the row above negative 0.4 and then row below is 0.6. Okay, so how to check whether the value is correct or not? We need to get the total, the absolute value of the row above plus row below equal to 1. So in our case it is 1. So this good. So means the distribution is correct. Okay. Okay. Can I any question until this slide?
Okay, doctor.
Okay. Okay. And then the next step to get the, okay, so this row that we get from previous slide, and after that to calculate the beta. Sorry, before we get the beta, we need to get the alpha first. So to determine the parameter of alpha, so actually this the value of parameter alpha and at each change of flow is defined by the relation of the summation of the row above multiplied by delta K xj. Okay, so this value is applied for the 14 flow. Okay, so for example, for wall 1, we have the row above is negative 0.4. This one multiplied by delta K we have 0.08, and then okay, so this for the wall 1 and then plus for the wall 2 0.4 multiply the delta K for the wall 2 is 0.02, and then plus for wall 3 is 0.5 multiplied by negative 0.1. So from this we have the alpha equal to 0.010. Okay, so this value applicable for this level, for the 14 level. Okay, and then the next step we can calculate the beta. Any question until this slide? Any question?
No, doctor.
Okay, clear. So actually this slide the revise some of slide already have a revision. I will post later in the Moodle, because previously we have the table for the complete table. So now I take only for the certain level only, so that I can put the table for every pages that we need to see the table. So you can see actually this one the same table, so that easy to refer. Okay. Okay, and then after that we need to calculate the beta. So the parameter beta is used to find the secondary moment that enter the shear wall. Okay, so actually later we will have the primary moment as secondary moment. Okay, so for the secondary moment depend on the beta value here. So how to get the beta? By using this equation. Okay, 1 divided by 1 minus alpha x. So the alpha we get from previous calculation, and then multiply by rho above, multiply by delta k xj minus alpha x. So this one the same alpha with this, multiply by k xj above, and then this for the beta above and beta below. Okay, so in our case for wall number 1 for the level 14, okay, we have the alpha is 0.01, so you just put alpha here 0.01, and then for rho at the level 14 we have rho is negative 0.4, and then delta k we have the 0.08 here, you can see, and then minus alpha is 0.01, and then multiply with the k 14 above. So k above we have 0.36. So from this we have the beta above is minus 0.0036. So in the table the round up to minus 0.04. Okay, and then for the below, okay, again we use the value from this table from the previous calculation, and then we get the beta below is 0.045 and round up to the 0.05. So this how to get this or this value, and then for the other wall you can adopt the same concept to get the value for the other wall, for wall 2 and wall 3. Okay, so actually for the shear wall, what you need to take note, first we need to get the I value, the second we need to get the k value, after that to get the rho value, and then alpha, and then the last one is to get the beta value. Okay, so the beta value actually to get the secondary moment. Okay, and then the primary moment we can get from the by using the k value. Okay, and then so now you can see here the step number 5 to find the external moment on the building at the slab level of J. Okay, so in our case we have the wind load 1.5 kilonewton per square meter acting to the building. Okay, so you can see this actually the side view of the building. So this from the level 1 to 20. So this level 20, yeah. So this level 1, and then after that the width of the building is 40 meter. You can see here is 40 meter here. Okay, so this 40 meter, and then because now we focus on this half of the building, so means the loading we need to consider up to the 20 meter length of the building only. Is it clear? So the wind is come from this direction, so the wind is come from this direction. Okay, so for this particular analysis we will do analysis on this half of the building only, or like symmetry. Okay, so that's why the width is 40 meter. So in order to get the external moment acting to the building due to the wind, first we need to to transfer the wind pressure to the forces, okay, by using this equation. Okay, so now because the width of the building is 40, and then we need to have the symmetry mean the half of the building only, so multiply by half and then multiply with the wind load 1.5. So from this we have the distributed load of 30 kilonewton per meter applied to the building. Okay, 30 kilonewton per meter. And then now in our discussion we will focus on this wall for level 14, this level 14. Okay, and then in order to get the moment acting to the level 14 and then level 13 and level 15, we need to know the lever arm. So the lever arm from the rooftop to the location of the wall. So as a location of the floor, for example, floor 15. So here we have 21 meter. So this, and then from the rooftop to the floor 14 is 24.5, and then from rooftop to the level 13 is 28 meter. Okay, 28 meter. So in order to know the moment, okay, the moment at level 15, so we use this equation, WL square divided by 2. Okay, so we have the W is 30 kilonewton per meter. So this one UDL multiply with the length, the level arm length. So for level 15 is 21. 21 is 70. So the total height of the building minus this the location of the second floor from the ground. So this one measure to this 15 to this is 49 so this 49 meter. So that we get this one actually is 28, this 28, this one 24.5, and then this one 21. So from this we can get the moment, external moment acting to the level 15 is 6,615 kilonewton meter, and then the level 14 9,000, level 13 is 11,760 kilonewton. So you can see here the highest, the lowest the floor level, the lower the floor level, the higher the moment, external moment acting to the level. So the same concept like as I explained to you, this the concept for the cantilever, so that the bending moment will be acting like this, 0 at the floor and then maximum at the support. Okay, any question until this slide? Hello?
Yes, doctor. Excuse
Yeah?
me. Hello.
Yeah.
The previous slide regarding to the alpha value
Beta, is it
in the
that?
tables.
Beta,
Alpha value 0.03 in level 14. Alpha 0.03. That's wrong, right? We get in the calculation 0.01. 0. Yes, that means the table is
Which
something
one?
wrong.
Okay.
In the table
Slowly.
of coefficient.
Okay. Sorry,
Okay,
can you
I
repeat
bet.
again? Okay, for which
This
is it this slide?
alpha. Yes. The
Okay.
table.
Okay.
Yellow table.
Okay.
Alpha 0.03. 0.03. That's wrong. That's not 3.01. And the equation, yes.
Which one?
This
The
in
you
the table.
mean
The table. In the
at
table.
the table.
Yes.
Okay.
Alpha.
Okay.
Alpha
Okay.
0.03. I have 0.03. This one.
Alpha. Okay. How much we get alpha?
0.03. 0.03. Wrong. 0.03. Yes.
This one. This is the alpha.
0.01.
Yeah, 0.01
Oh.
alpha.
Oh, but I downloaded from the model 0.03 here. Maybe my slide wrong. Here is different.
Yeah.
In my table different. 0.03. That means 0.01. Level
Yeah.
14.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay.
Because why? You see this slide? This one already revised. Because I also check the on the previous slide that I already sent to you. Actually, the level is applicable for the 7th floor. I have checked.
Oh.
That's why now I cut the table become and then I revise the table. So this one the correct one.
Yes, because I downloaded from the model in hardware.
Yeah. That's why after
Okay,
this
just to
I
confirm.
will
Thank you. Thank you.
I will
Okay.
upload in the model.
Understood. Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. Saving. Okay. Wait, saving this computer becomes slow. Okay. So this okay. So that's why you can see here this how to get the external moment, and So now we need to transfer, okay, this moment to the wall. Because why? Because we need to know what is exactly the value of the bending moment inside the wall, so that we can provide the reinforcement bar inside the wall to resist of this lateral or the transverse force. Okay, so the next step, okay, to get the primary moment. So primary moment we can, as I mentioned to you, primary moment we can get by using the K value. So here the moment above, P means primary, MP primary for above equal to KXJ above multiplied by MX. So MX is the total external moment, okay, for the each level of the wall, okay, and then this the moment below. So we use the same moment, MX here, MX actually the external moment. So the value MP below and MP above depend on the value of the K above and K below here. Okay, so for example, you can see here for the primary moment for wall 1 at level 14. So the moment above P primary equal to K above multiplied by moment at level 14. So in the previous calculation for moment at level 14 here is 9,004 kilonewton. Okay, so from this multiply with the K above 0.36. So from this we get the moment above is 3,240 kilonewton. Okay, and then the below is 3,960 kilonewton. Okay, so you can see here, and then for the other floor level, we still can get the primary moment by using this equation MKXJ by using the equal to KXJ multiplied by MX. So for example, for the wall number 1 at level 15 and 13. Okay, so by using this equation for the level 15, okay, level 15 is above the level 14. So we use the K above 0.36. Okay, multiply by the moment multiply by the moment which is applied to the level 15. And then for the moment primary at the level 13, because the 13 is below the level 14, so we use the K below. K below is 0.44. So from here we have the moment at level 15 is 2,380 and the level 13 is 5,170 kilonewton meter. Any question until this slide?
Clear.
Is it clear?
Yes.
Clear.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yes, teachers, clear. No question.
Okay. So next slide, to determine the secondary moment. So in this analysis, first we have the external moment, and then the external moment will be transferred to the wall, become the primary moment and secondary moment. So the internal moment inside the wall is consists of the moment primary plus moment secondary. So the next step is to determine the secondary moment. So how to get MS by using the beta? Okay, MS above equal to X is the external moment, okay, applied to the certain level of the building. So for example, for wall number 1 at level 14, okay, we have the beta is negative 0.04. Okay, so here multiply by the moment at level 14, we have 324 kilonewton meter. And then at the below one, 0.05, okay, we have negative 405 kilonewton meter. Okay, so this the secondary moment at level 14. Okay, and then also for the secondary secondary moment at 2 level above and below means at level above 15 and 16 or the above is 15 and 16, and then below 14 is the 13 and 12. So we can calculate the moment by using this equation. Okay, negative 0.26x square multiplied by moment above for the moment above, And then this one x plus 2, x plus 1. So for x plus 1 means, for example, now we are talking about the level 14. So means this for level 15, and then this one for level 16. Okay. And then for the below one, this for level minus 1. So 14 minus 1, so means for level 13. And then for minus 2 is for the level 12. So we can get the secondary moment by using this equation. So for the next slide, you can see how to use this equation. Okay. So for example, for the level 16, okay, we have the moment above. Okay, the above is this one, this above, and then this below. So this above will distribute to the level 15 and 16, and then for the below will be distribute to the level 13 and 12. So you can see here, by using this equation, they have the secondary moment at the level 16 is 23, level 15 is negative 87. Okay, and then for the level 13, this below of 14 is 109, and then for the level below is this one negative, because this positive, this negative, so become negative 21 kilonewton meter. Okay, so you can see the rapidly diminishing value of moment as we move away from the transition 14 floor slab level. Okay, and then after that, the next step to calculate the total moment on each wall. Okay, in this example, we focus on the wall number 1. So the moment total is moment above primary plus moment secondary, moment above secondary. And then to check if the results are correct, so we need to ensure that the moment total equal to moment below plus the moment total equal to moment below plus moment below. So to ensure that the result correct, so the total moment at the for above plus above equal to below plus below. So this must be the same value. Okay, if the value for the moment total from the above is not same with the total moment from the below, means something wrong for the in your calculation. Okay, and then after that, okay, for wall number 1 for the floor 14, we have the moment above 32550. Okay, for primary and secondary 324, and then we have 3574. And then this one for to check whether the calculation is correct or not, we check the total moment by using the moment below. Okay, so we have this 39x0 minus 405, so the same value 3575. So this calculation is correct because we can see that the total moment from the above and below is the same. Okay, or by using the equation, so the any other floor level I for wall j can be found by using this one. M total ij equal to moment prime ij plus moment secondary ij. Okay, I is number of floor, and then j is the number of wall. Okay. And then for example, for the wall number 15. So for wall number 15, okay, we have the primary 15 and secondary 15 here. Okay, and then so that we have 2301 kilonewton meter. So this is the total moment acting at the level 15. Okay, and then so from this we already have the moment at level 14 3575, and then the moment at level is 2301 kilonewton. So from the difference of this level divided with the height of the one floor, we can get the shear force for the wall. Okay, so you can see this equation. The shear at the level 14 equal to the moment above, okay, minus the moment above for 14 and 15, means the difference divided by h. So we have the shear inside the wall is 364 kilonewton. So later when you design for this wall for the level 14, you need to design the reinforcement bar to cater for this value 3574 kilonewton meter, and also need to design for the shear link, the stirrup for the wall by using this value 364 kilonewton. Okay, and then the total for the three wall for the, you can see in this table. Okay, so you can see this table for the 14th floor, above and below, and then 15th floor, and then 13th floor. Okay, you can see in this table. Okay, and then this is the total moment, primary moment, secondary moment, then this the total moment, and then for the wall two also have the primary and secondary and total moment. So for design, you need to use the total moment only when you design for the shear wall. Okay, but please take note, this bending moment is due to the lateral force come from the wind load or the wind pressure only. Okay, but when you design for the wall, if you want to cater for the gravity load, means you need to also to consider the effect from the axial load from the gravity load, and also the bending from the gravity load, so that the total moment will increase due to the contribution from the gravity load. Okay, any question? Any question? Hello?
No,
No,
thank you.
doctor, no.
Clear,
all,
clear, doctor. Clear my side.
all clear, huh? Okay, so I continue with this. Okay, so after that, by using the, after we found that the bending moment for the edge of flow, and then we can have the figure. This is actually the diagram. So the value of shear versus the flow level. So you can see here the top of the building, the shear value and also the bending moment value will be minimum, very minimum, or equal to 0. Okay, and then you can see here at the flow level, okay, at the change level, they will have the, you can see here the change level, they will have the changes on the shear diagram here. Okay, and then this the shear diagram is decreased from the foundation to the rooftop. Okay, and also the bending moment also the same thing, the bending moment. Okay, so the bending moment also will decrease and become 0 at the rooftop. That's why I mentioned to you this the same concept like when we design for the cantilever beam or the cantilever column. So the maximum moment at the support, and then zero moment at the end of the beam or column. Okay, in our case at the rooftop of the building. Okay, any question on this example?
It's okay, doctor.
Huh? Is it clear?
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
Yes.
Okay. So if this one clear, I think I can continue with the flat slab. What do you think? Is it okay? If I continue with the flat slab? Huh?
As you like.
Huh?
To give us a chance to study this exam.
Oh,
This first.
okay. Because I plan to deliver for the flat slab next week. But maybe for introduction, I can present now introduction, and then the example maybe we discuss next week. Is it okay?
Okay, doctor, up to you.
Okay, Is it okay? Still okay? Are you still okay? Okay, so now I continue the. Okay, this one I stop first. This one I stop first, and I will share with the flat slab. But I am opening the file. This one is minimum. Okay, I'm opening the file now. To slow this laptop. That's that. Okay, so now I will share the new slide. Okay, okay, can you see my slide?
Yes, Doctor.
Okay. So actually, for this introduction, I will create the video later. But for the how to, and then for the topic from this slide 26. From slide 26 until active 4, I already have the video. I will upload later after this to the Moodle. Okay, so that you can see as well from the video. So for now, I will explain to you in this introduction. Okay, so in this introduction, I will focus on the slab or some of people call as the slab or also the floor, the same thing. So the floor system of the tall building. Okay, so for the floor system, okay, actually we have many type of the floor system. Okay, for the conventional one, they have the one-way slab, okay, or two-way slab, and also they have the one-way or two-way slab with the we call that as the restraint slab, means the slab is supported by the beam, and also we have also the flat slab or flat. So the flat slab or the flat flat means the building don't have any beam, so all the load will be transferred directly from the slab to the column. Okay, and also we have the two-way waffle flat slab. The waffle flat slab actually consists of the small beam, the thin beam, and also the function of this waffle actually to reduce the thickness of the slab. Okay, and then after that also the two-way slab and beam. This one considered as the restraint slab. So means all the load will be transferred to the beam, and then from beam will be transferred to the column, and then from column to the foundation. Okay, this for the concrete. And then for the steel structure, they also have the one-way beam system. So normally for this steel frame, they have the steel deck. Okay, the steel deck. Some of people also call as the composite deck. So the bottom part of the slab consists of the steel deck plus the thin concrete. Okay, and then they also have the one-way beam system, and then the two-way, and then the three-way, depend on the type of the support. And then for the steel framing, normally they have the composite steel concrete floor system. Okay, actually the why the produce composite actually to reduce the thickness of the slab. So once you reduce the thickness of the slab, so that you can optimize to optimize the building in terms of number of the floor. Okay, so you can see, for example, if you design the building with beam, so it means between the floor you need to have space at least 3.7 meter. Okay, to provide the ample space for the resident. Okay, but if you design the building without the beam, you can reduce, become 2.5 3.5, okay, or 3 meter, even 3 meter, so that from that you can optimize by increasing the number of floor. Okay, so for example, you want to build the 40-meter building. Okay, so if you use the beam, you can have, let's say, only 30 floor only. But if you use the flat slab without beam, you can increase the number of floor, become, let's say, 35. So you can see the benefit of the flat slab as compared to the restraint slab here, in terms of the number of floor that you can get by using by building the same height of the building. So means the more floor means the more profit that you can get for this construction. Okay. Okay, so the choice of the correct floor system is an important economic design in a tall building. Okay, so because we need to optimize. Optimize means you need to utilize all the equipment, all the material, so that you can produce the efficient building in terms of you can build the same building with the lower cost. Okay. And then for in residential building, the shorter span are possible because the smaller apartment units permit the placement of the closer space, column and wall. But this one only for residential building. Okay. But for the modern office building require large opening space. Okay. So sometimes interior must be devoid of structure element. So the problem here. Sometimes architect want us to provide the open space. So that's why in the shear wall design, you can notice that sometimes we need to stop the shear wall at the ground level in order to accommodate of the architect requirement to provide the large opening. Okay. So this the some requirement that we need to cater as structure engineer lah. Okay. And then also I don't know what happened. Tolong tar tar. Something wrong. What happened to this? Can you see my screen?
No, there's no screen.
No screen. Okay.
Voice.
Okay. Yeah. Wait, Okay, so now can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So and also flow system also depend on the experience of the contractor. Okay, the contractor, because the level of experience of the contractor, different country where they will have the different level of experience. Maybe some contractor don't have experience how to build the post tension flat slab, and then some contractor also don't have maybe some contractor don't have the experience on that. And then as you may know, for the long span, sometimes we need to provide the post tension, the pre-stress, even for the slab. Okay, so in order to cater for this requirement, sometimes we need to revise the drawing, revise the design, of course, revise the drawing as well. Okay, and then the flow system might be required to assist in carrying horizontal loads, in which case a flow slab may have to be replaced by a floor plate. Okay, actually the floor plate is the same concept like the membrane. Okay, so for example, that's why when you design for the building, you need to decide whether you want to utilize the floor system or the slab to cater or to resist the horizontal load or not. Okay, so if you want to utilize the capacity of the slab to resist for the horizontal loads, means you need to design the slab as the membrane or the floor plate. So means the floor plate means you can compare with the normal slab that will resist the gravity load only, dead load and live load. Okay, but for the floor plate, they will have the in-plane load. In-plane load means the horizontal load directly will work to the plate. So means to the horizontal plate. So in this floor plate design or membrane design, we need to design to cater for the horizontal load by providing the sufficient we call the in-plane stiffness, because the load is in stiffness. So means we need to provide the sufficient in-plane stiffness so that the slab will not bend or will not deflect due to the horizontal load. Okay, so means during the wind load, the load will be transferred from wall to the plate without deflection on the plate, and then the load will be transferred to the next structure element. For example, for the next wall. Okay, so this the five criteria that you need to consider when you want to select for the floor system. Okay, but normally for the especially here in Malaysia, we use the what you call the floor slab only. Means the slab will design to support for the gravity load only. So all the horizontal load will be support by the column. Okay, the column or core or shear wall. Okay. Okay, so for example, in this floor system, for example, we select for the slab. So we have the one-way slab. So in which the slab span in one direction between supporting beam or wall, and then for the two-way slab, in which the slab span in orthogonal direction. So for one-way slab, we have the one direction reinforcement bar only, means to the shorter span. For the two-way slab, we need to have the two-way or two direction of rebar. Okay, X and Y direction to cater for the two-way acting or two-way bending moment from the applied load. And then the board system of the one-way two-way slab take advantage of continuity over interior support by providing negative moment reinforcement in the slab. Okay, so actually negative moment is above the support, because above the support, as you may know, the even beam or slab will be the moment will be the hogging moment. The hogging moment, hogging moment means the top part will be in tension. So that's why we need to provide a negative moment reinforcement above the support. This one applicable also for beam and slab. Okay, and then after that, you can see here this the type of the flat slab. We have the two-way flat plate or flat slab. This one, the slab, the load will be transferred directly to the column. Okay, and then the next option is two-way flat slab with drop. Actually, the function of the drop actually to cater for the punching shear. Okay, because you know the same thing like when you design for beam. Okay, so for example, when you design for beam, okay. So here, so the same thing like beam. So you have the shear force diagram like this. Okay, so the maximum is at the support. So maximum, minimum, of course, at the middle span. So because the high stress here, so we need to have sufficient thickness of this slab to support for the shear or the punching shear. Okay, so that's why the decision is why we need to have the drop. Sometimes the slab thickness is not sufficient for the cater for the punching shear force, or the shear force come from the applied load. So in order to increase the thickness at this certain area, we need to provide the drop. You can see here the drop. Okay, and then the other case, for example, if the drop still cannot sufficient to support for the shear force, we need to provide the column head. Okay, by providing additional column head here, so that the thickness of the area with the distance 2D from the face of column will be sufficient to support for the punching shear. Okay, acting vertically from the applied load. Okay, so this is the purpose of the why we need to provide the thicker plate, because it is not economic, you know. For example, if you use the same thickness with the slab at area near to the support, with the middle span, you have the same thickness, so consider not economic. So we can reduce the thickness at the middle span. At the same time, we can increase the thickness at the support, because why? The support they have the highest shear force. Okay, so this is the purpose of the drop. And also the column head, if the drop is not sufficient, and then we need to provide the column head here that I will show you. And then also they have the joist white module. The joist actually If this one we consider the main beam or the girder, that is the secondary beam. Okay, the secondary beam actually also the function actually to reduce the thickness of the slab. Okay, and then this is the skip joist and then one-way joist slab. Okay, one-way joist slab. So you can see here the one way because of the dimension of the slab itself. The small slab is because the Ly over Lx is higher bigger than 2. Okay, so this for one ways. Okay, and then after that two ways joist, you can see here for this for waffle block, they have the small beam here, and then this for the one-way beam. So the one-way beam one-way beam and slab, so means one-way slab. So means for in this case we need to provide because the bending moment will be like this. Okay, so means we need to provide the reinforcement bar along this direction only. So you need to provide the rebar, the steel bar inside this direction only. Okay, the main rebar. But for the shrinkage or the creep of the concrete, okay, means in order to prevent any crack due to the temperature, you need to provide the minimum rebar along the transverse direction. Okay, along this one. But the small rebar only. Okay, we call the transverse bar or the some of engineers also call as the creep bar. Okay, and then after that for the two-way slab here, two-way slab. Okay, depend on the Ly over X, and then this one-way flat slab. Okay, one-way flat slab. Even for one-way flat slab, also we need to provide the reinforcement bar along this direction only to support for this bending moment. Okay, so for the long direction, you need to provide the minimum rebar to cater for the shrinkage and creep. Okay, any question? Hello?
Clear, doctor.
Clear, eh? Okay, so the next is for this the example for one-way slab. So the force will be the distribute to this beam and this beam. Okay, so in order to distribute the force to this beam and this beam, we need to provide the reinforcement bar. Okay, because the bending moment will be like this. Bending moment will be like this. So we need to provide the rebar along this direction. So this is the reinforcement bar that we need to provide. Okay, then this the main rebar, and then for the crack or the shrinkage, we need to provide the minimum rebar in this direction with the red color. Okay. And then the advantage of this type of slab require the simple formwork with the simple reinforcement. Okay. And then the next type of the slab consists of the main beam. Okay, or in bridge we call this as girder. This is the girder, and then this the secondary beam. Okay, secondary beam, and then all the slab will be the one because this become the one-way slab. One-way slab. And then this one also, this the girder or main beam, and then this the secondary beam. Okay, but okay. And then for one-way slab, okay, so this one-way slab, for the flat slab, you can see here, support by column, and then because the Ly, maybe the Ly, they say this length, and then this length, okay, let's say this Lx, and then this one, let's say Ly, maybe this one Ly over Lx is less than 2, so this considered as two-way. Okay, so they need to design as two-way slab. Okay, and then this one, the typical failure of the flat slab. Okay, so in this experiment, so actually this the side, the top view. So in side view, you can see in the next slide. So this slab is support support by the rubber. So consider all the roller. Okay, and then put the point load at the middle of the flat slab, so you can see the deflection, and then also you can see the crack pattern, and then the crack pattern you can see here. Okay, so but the type of this, because the crack is at the middle span of the slab, so this considered due to the flexural bending. Okay, so this the you need to take note. I don't know, maybe later if you work as the the structure engineer, maybe you have the task to supervise or the project, and then during construction, or maybe you have task to check for the existing capacity of the existing building, and then maybe you find some crack, and then you from the crack you can identify. So for example, you find that the most of crack is at the middle span like this. So this is crack due to the flexural, the flex. So if you find that the crack at the near to the support, okay, so this column support, and then the crack around this pattern, the crack like this. So this due to the shear. Okay, so once you know this crack is due to the flexural, due to the bending. So means if you find the case like this, and then you notice the deflection of the beam still under allowable deflection, so you just put the maybe some retrofitting. For example, normally we use the CFRP, carbon fiber reinforced plate, to put here in order to increase the bending capacity. So how about shear? If the beam fell into the shear, and then you can put some of people use the steel plate also can, and then also can use the CFRP plate as well. Okay, and then this is the sum of the solution that we done in on site. Okay, because we cannot expect to have the new project as well. Sometimes we have the all project, they need to change the function. For example, the old building is previously designed as school building. Okay, and then after that the new owner want to change the function of the building become office. Okay, so maybe if you change from school to office should be no problem, because the loading from office is less as compared to the school. Okay, because for school we have 3 kilonewton per square meter, depend on the court, but for the and then for the office we have only 1.5. Okay, and then if we change from the school to office, should be okay lah. But as engineer you still need to check, because you will receive the fee, so means you need to do some checking, some recalculation. The problem is if the old building is the let's say for the office, and then they want to convert to the school. The school, they will have also the impact, the dynamic load from the people. Okay, move around, especially for the what you call the junior school. And then so in this case you need to remodel the building in the software, and then you need to check for the actual strength of concrete. Normally we use the hammer test, ribbon hammer test, or so you can use the maybe they have the certain the latest equipment, I don't know. Okay, and then you need to find the actual strength of the steel inside the building. So maybe you can find the what you call the uncritical column, and then you can chop, and then you take one rebar, and then to get the tensile strength of the rebar. So that by using this data, you have the concrete strength, you have the yield strength of rebar, and then you can redesign the building. And then from that you can identify what is the capacity of the building. Is it possible to change from the existing function to the new function? So this your role as the structure engineer. Okay. And then in the next slide, you can see here. Okay, you can see here this one. We have the slab. If the slab thickness is not sufficient to support for the punching shear, especially at this area, Okay, and then we need to increase this area thickness by providing the drop. This one is drop. Okay, this is drop. Okay, this one is drop. And then if this still not sufficient, we need to provide the column head. So this column head. The column head. Okay, the column head. So this is the function of the column head and then the drop. Okay. So the system is suited for the heavier long loads and longer span when the base are roughly square. Okay. So this one also applicable if you have the circular column, and then you can apply the circular column head here. Okay, to increase for the punching shear capacity of the slab. Okay. And then this example, you can see the basement or the parking area. They have the column here, and then the slab, and then they have the drop here. Okay, drop. And then this for the waffle flat slab, they have the waffle combined with the flat slab without the drop here. Okay. And then this the restraint slab, means the slab support by the beam and then also by column. Okay, this the conventional slab, we call it conventional because they the normal design only. Okay. And then for the steel frame floor system, we had the one-way slab, two-way slab, and composite slab. I think this one I already explained previously. One-way slab for two-way slab, also composite slab. Okay, this the composite slab. You can see this the steel beam, the I-beam, or in design we call the UB, universal beam UB. And then this the steel deck. Okay, the steel deck with the certain strength. That's why when you design for reinforcement inside the slab, you need to consider also the flexural strength of this steel deck, so that you can contribute the strength from the steel deck to the reinforcement bar, so that you can reduce the number of rebar inside the slab. Okay. And then you can see here we have the steel, and then this one we call the shear stud. Shear stud actually to connect between the concrete with the column. Okay, in order to prevent movement of the slab due to the loading. Okay, we have the shear stud here. And then this one for precast concrete panel. For precast concrete panel, they also have the connector, the existing connector, just plug in. Okay. And then this one-way beam system. Okay, this got the steel, and then this the flat slab for one way. And then of course, because this one way, we need to provide the reinforcement bar along this direction only. Okay, so this all the rebar inside the wall, inside the slab. Okay. And then so this the cut section. So the cut section, you can see this the main beam, this the secondary beam, and then because of the presence of this secondary beam, so the slab become the one-way slab only, all this one-way slab. Okay. And then this how the construct on site. This the girder, means the beam and main beam, construct from the small I-beam. So this the concept like truss, so they have function like truss. So means in this case all the load will be transferred through the joint. Okay, the joint, and then depend on the design. For the roof truss, normally we design the roof to support for the axial load only, axial compression and tension. Okay, but for the main beam, we need to consider also the effect of the bending. Okay, so the bending. So means in this case, for the bending means because I put the different color. I think color yellow. Okay. Yes. Okay, this is not clear. This color yellow. Okay, so this because this the bending moment, we need to support by this beam. So means we need to consider also the bending capacity of this truss. Okay, and then this the connection also must be designed as the fixed connection. Because they will have the bending moment here. So we need to ensure that the number of ball and number of the thickness of the splice steel here must be sufficient to support for the bending at the connection between beam or girder and the column. Okay, so I mentioned to you this the steel deck with the concrete, this I-beam, the same thing. So this the shear stud. The shear stud actually to connect between the slab and the steel beam. Okay. You can see this is the shear stud. Okay, and then this is the steel deck, and then the steel deck. Okay, I think for the introduction, that's all from me. Do you have any question? Are you still there? Hello?
It's okay, Doctor.
It's
Okay.
clear, 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 Dr. Clear.
Clear, huh? Okay. Okay, so wait, I have to. Okay. Okay. So this one. And then okay, so for this one, for the I already have video. I think I can show you this one, but I already have in the video. I will show it you. So this the flat slab you can see here. Okay, for this structural system, we on this subject we select one type of slab. We call as the flat slab. So you can see what is the flat slab. Actually, the slab consists of the constant thickness, and then they have the flat soffit. So all the load will be transferred directly to the column. Okay, and then as I already mentioned to you, this the three type of the flat slab. So this flat slab, this the slab, and then this column, this without drop and without column head. So means based on the checking, they found that the slab is sufficient to support for the punching shear. Punching shear come vertically from the top direction with the distance of 2D from the first of column. Okay, so D is the effective depth of the slab. Okay, so measure from the surface of the slab to the middle span, the center line of this rebar. Okay, the effective depth of slab. And then if after they do the check and then they found that the slab is not sufficient, and then they provide the this drop. Okay, this is the column head. Provide column head, so that you can see here the previous thickness is this. This is the previous thickness. And now the total thickness is the thickness of slab plus the thickness of the column head. Okay, so and then if the option number 2 still not sufficient to support for the punching shear, vertical shear, and then by adding or the column head. So now we can see here the thickness is the thickness of slab plus thickness of the drop plus thickness of the column head. So now become the if this option also still not sufficient, so means you need to think, you need to provide the other solution. So what is the other solution? You need to reduce the span of the slab by providing the column at the middle between the two column. Okay, so all the solution is come from you as engineer based on your analysis. Okay, and then for the case number 1, so you can see here, this you can see on side they have the slab with the column only. Okay, so this is the floor or slab without the drop panel and also without the column head. And then the option number 2, oh hang, wait, and then option number 2, this the column with the column head. Okay, so this column head and this column head. And then option number 3 is the column with the column head with drop panel. Okay, so you can see here. And then in detail you can refer to clause 9.4 Eurocode 2 for the flat slab. And then how to construct? Okay, in order to cater for this drop, they need to have also the drop on the formwork. Okay, formwork, and then they need to have the reinforcement bar at the drop. Okay, you can see here this reinforcement bar for the column, and then the reinforcement bar for the drop, and then this one is reinforcement bar for the slab. But this one not yet finished. They still need to install the rebar, the rebar for the slab. Okay. And then okay, so in order to check whether the slab is sufficient or not, we need to do analysis on the building. So from the analysis we can have the bending moment diagram, okay, along the we call the column strip here. Okay, and then also we will have the shear force diagram. So if this one bending moment diagram, so for the shear force diagram we will have like this. Okay, so this is the shear force diagram. Okay, shear force diagram. Okay, so in order to check for the thickness of the slab sufficient or not, we need to use this value, the V value, the shear force diagram. Okay, from the shear force diagram. Later I will show you how to check. Okay, any question until this slide? Hello.
Okay, doctor.
Okay, so for the this calculation, okay, I think I finish this 3 slide first. Okay, so for the flat slab, in order to design for the flat slab, we need to divide the flat slab become the, we call as the uh, column strip and also the middle strip. So the definition of column strip and the middle strip I can show you in this slide. Okay, in this slide. Okay, so you can see here this the rectangular with the black color is the column. This we have the 4 column here, and then we have the column span is here is LX, and then this one is LY. Okay, and then we have the slab here, and then the slab with the red rectangular is a slab need to be designed. So we need to design for the slab. Okay, and then first, in order to design, because you can see here in this slab no beam here. Okay, so now we need to design some portion of the slab to act as the beam. So we call as the column strip. So this this location is considered the beam. This one also has function of beam. This one also have as function as beam, and this one also as beam. So means the 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 portion that we need to design as beam consider as the column strip. Okay, and then the middle span as slab we consider as the middle strip. Okay, so this the middle strip, and then this portion is the column strip. Okay, so the column strip has function to resist all the bending moment and shear force diagram, the shear force value, and then we'll transfer the load to the column. So this is the function of the column strip. Okay, and then okay, so now we need to show you this one. Too small. Okay, make it clearer. Okay, so now how to determine the width of the drop panel? So here you can see here this the width of the drop panel. Okay, so how to determine for the width of the drop panel? So the drop panel, okay, if the drop panel is less than 1/3 of Lx, Lx is the short span of the slab. If less than 1/3 of Lx, so that the width of the column strip equal to 1/4 multiplied by width of the drop panel. Okay, and then if the L/D or the width of the drop is higher compared to 1/3 of Lx, so width of the column strip equal to the width of the drop panel. Okay, sorry, this one not width of the drop panel. 1/4. Okay, if less than 1/3 Lx, so the width of this one 1/4 of Lx. This one Lx. Okay, so that's why, as you can see here, okay, so if the drop panel is, that means the LD is this one, the LD is the length for this one is LD. If the LD less than 1/3 of the short span, so in this case LY, so that's why this one contradict, in the normal understanding we have the shortest span is Lx. Okay, but in this Eurocode 2 they mention the shortest span is Ly. So what you need to do, we need to refer to the shortest span only. Okay, so if the LD is less than 1/3 of the shortest span, okay, so means Okay, so now clear. Okay, so but if the LD or width of the drop panel is higher as compared to the 1/3 of shorter span, so means we can use the L/D as it is. Okay, so this the explanation on this. Okay, so
There's no sound. Oh.
okay, can you mute your microphone? I don't know. Okay. Okay, maybe this one indicator that we need to finish the class maybe. Okay. Okay, so I think that's all from me for today, and then for the detailed calculation I will explain to you next week. Okay. Okay, is it okay?
It's okay, doctor. Just in the previous slide, in the red line, can
Which
you refer to it? No, down. This
Okay.
one, no.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
this one.
Yeah. Okay.
This one, LX more than LY, okay?
Yeah.
We can find the width of a middle strip and the width of the column strip from this equation. That means B refer to the middle strip width, okay? What if there we have square step? Just we have in the project, question of project, okay? So how can find the column strip width and middle strip? Or actually, how can find the width of middle strip? Is most important.
Okay. So actually, in simple explanation like this, because why? Because this previously I already explained to you. This figure I take from a Eurocode 2. Okay. In this Eurocode 2, they mentioned that the shortest span is Ly. That's why when I explained to you, I just mentioned the 1/3 multiplied by the shortest span. Okay. So we need to refer to the shortest span. Okay. So here the length from this point to this point is LD, means the width of the drop. Okay. So if the LD less than if LD
I don't
less
mean. Excuse me, doctor. I don't mean the width of drop panel. I just mean how to find the width of middle strip. If we have
the width of
Y
what?
more than LX, or if we have a square slab.
Or square slab.
Yeah.
Okay, square slab. This
Width
the
of middle strip. Only width of middle strip.
easy.
It's okay.
So
Okay.
you can take that straight. Okay. Because that's why this slide is contradict with this the previous slide. So that's why I already highlight to you. We refer to the shortest span only. Okay. And then the previous slide you can see this the LX actually the shortest span. Okay. So this okay. So any question before before we adjourn the consider the meeting, right? Or meeting. So for this flat slab, okay, I will I will post to the Moodle. After this, I will post. You can download the video, and then for the design of the shear wall, I think I have record on this MS Team, so I will share with you later. So any question before we end this class?
Okay, thank you so much, Doctor.
Sam, is okay, Sam?
Thank you so much, clear, Doctor.
Sahab? Sahab?
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you.
Okay, Hamse?
It's clear, Doctor. It's clear. Thank you very much.
Who else? Hamse. Amir Rafid?
Yeah, Doctor, everything is clear. Thank you.
Hamse? Hamse?
It's clear, Doctor. It's clear. Thank you very much.
Okay. So thank you. I will after this maybe around 5 you can download the video from my Moodle.
Okay, Doctor.
I will post in the Moodle. Okay, thank you. See you next
Thank
week.
you.
Thank you, Doctor.
Okay, have a nice day. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you. Thank you.
Doctor.
Salam.
Okay, assalamualaikum.
No.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Walaikum salam. Thank you, Doctor.
Yeah, welcome.